Say hey guys, welcome back to Survive to Drive, and we're here with the Singapore Grand Prix weekend preview. We're here to look at what this new weekend is going to bring to us in terms of F1 racing, off track, on track, and we're going to take a little bit of a whimsical look at it. Take a look at, what is our thought process and what's coming on ahead. So, Alan, are you excited for what's coming up?
I'm definitely excited for Singapore. It's always great. It's a night race. It's grueling. I think a lot of rookies are gonna feel the heat. They're gonna feel the humidity. And I want to see who holds up the best. But yeah, I think just a test of nerves, and I think Singapore is also close to my heart. I've loved living in Singapore when I was there, and I've gone around Yas Marina uh, many a nights actually. So yeah, I think it's always a spectacle, I think.
Yeah, it's a very grueling race and the humidity is horrible. And what's expected this weekend is it's expected rain. And the worst part about Singapore is that when it rains,
Yeah,
people think it becomes cooler, but it's the opposite. It becomes more humid and even worse to be
yeah.
in. So it's like fuming. So even the race director has actually put in a heat hazard. So you might see those AC vents being installed in the cars for the first time this weekend. So that's very
Really?
interesting to
That's
think about
insane.
that. No, I'm
Yeah.
very interested to see that. But before we move on with this weekend, let's have a look at what happened in the past weekend. Alan, can you run us through it?
Not the whole thing. I think we'll go part by part. But for me, my past weekend, I think Abhilash, you will obviously take Ferrari, but and everything along with that. But my highlight is what happened with the McLarens. I think we saw a rare Oscar Piastri disastrous weekend. I would say it wasn't even bad. It was just disastrous, very amateurish. And we saw his mistake in qualifying. He binned it. He gets the race start wrong. I think he was just anticipating too much and got it the worst possible moment to get it wrong, and then anti-stall, and then drop down to 20th, and then put it in the wall. So just absolutely horrible. But uh, the good thing I think is that I feel like he has the potential to bounce back, and he is a consistent driver. So barring this weekend, I don't think he's going to be too affected by it. He's pretty chill. He's pretty cool. Let's see how he performs. But uh, honestly, what's worse is it's not even Piastri. I think what's worse is Norris, because uh, how the hell do you not capitalize on on that? Because I think he made up only 6 points, which is
Yeah, P7. So that is
lesser
six
than
points.
what you would have made if it was a 1-2.
Yeah, you could have
So
made
I
seven
think
there.
just not a good weekend from Norris, and I think this weekend showed why you can have a good driver in you can have two good drivers in the best car, but then you'll have the best driver beat them in a good car. I think that's the motto of the weekend, and it shows where Max is. I think just a generational talent, just way ahead of the curve. So yeah,
Yeah,
Paco showed
that's
it.
absolutely true. And as much as I think Max is in the running, but Piastri will pick up the pieces. But Norris is honestly the biggest disappointment. I know the car was not the fastest that weekend, but you could have made P5, P6, something or the other. How do you not overtake a Racing Bulls ahead of you?
Yeah,
I'm not even talking about a Williams. Williams was genuinely fast the weekend. But how do you not overtake a Racing Bulls? How do you not overtake a Red Bull? Like
yeah.
that's a genuine
I mean,
question to
the
be
Red
asked.
Bull, specifically the Red Bull of Yuki
Yuki
Tsunoda.
Tsunoda.
Let's not,
I'm not talking
yeah,
Max
let's
Verstappen.
not
Max
call it
Verstappen
the
is
Red
a
Bull.
different level.
Yeah, he's a different beast. But yeah, I think just and I mean, Baku is not. It's not Monaco, right? It's not
You can
even like
overtake. There's
Imola.
plenty of opportunities.
It's we have the I like a huge ass straight. I think it's the second longest after Vegas. I think it used to be the
Yeah,
longest
it's,
until
it's used
Vegas.
to be the longest. Now it's
So
the longest.
just saying, like, I mean, with DRS, whatever, like you are in the championship battle, my dude. Like, get on with it. But yeah, we just saw Max breeze his way. and breezes way to victory. And we also then subsequently saw Max Magic the next weekend, not in an F1 car, but yeah,
in the Nodal Chiefs, where he took victory
yeah,
in his class along with Chris Lallam. So that was a great thing. As I said, I'll be talking about Ferrari. And
yeah.
what a colossal mess up of a weekend, because they genuinely had the pace to be to have both cars on the podium. That's how good their pace was. I don't know what decision they made in FP3. I was tracing the data through FP1, FP2. They were very good. Lewis and Charles ran two different setups. Lewis was on the slightly higher downforce wing. He was losing a little more on the straights as compared to Charles, but he was very confident in sector 2 and even the part of sector 1 where you have to brake hard. He was very confident there. So both drivers were doing well in their respective paths, but for some reason Ferrari decided, let's go with a mixed bag of both setups, and both drivers consequently were not very confident. Lewis Hamilton, who topped a free practice session generally on merit with some fantastic laps throughout practice, was out in Q2 because Ferrari decided they were gonna run 4 lap old softs twice to get out of Q2 in a car that has made double Q2 eliminations multiple times, and a driver who has generally struggled in qualifying for the last 2 years. So they decided it was a smart idea, which being Ferrari obviously was not. So Lewis Hamilton out is in P12. Charles Leclerc, unfortunately, he was stupid once again in Q3 and he binned the car through all of his own accord. The SF25 is not at fault here. But it just goes for how bad their execution is. I feel, I mean, I'm not from a person who works in that background yet. But I feel at this point Ferrari should just not have their strategy engineers. They should just I don't know, they should hire a firm or something, get our operations right, because their race operations are absolutely
That's
torrid. They should
that's
get
what I
some
do it for.
consultants on
They
board.
should just hire me. They should just hire me, but
They can just look at Twitter. They should
yeah,
just open
we
Twitter
have
and be like,
great
okay, this is what we should
exactly.
do. You know what? Go ahead. They would
I
perfect
think
that.
the organizational rot probably is there, and I think we see it because from Williams, if you listen to what Albon says, uh, and especially given 25 and how close the cars are, it's more about in quali rather than just having a pure pace differential, it's also about the tire prep, right? That's really important. How your outlaps are, sending the cars at the right time, especially this year when there is not a much of a pace difference. This is what you have to nail, and I think that's what we've seen Williams nailing, right? We've seen James on it, and that is making that. And over here the difference is not like two positions. It's not P1 to P3, it's P1 to a Q2 elimination or a Q1 elimination, honestly. So yeah, I think Ferrari needs to stop masquerading as a fake F1 team. They need to get back to their glory, get back to what they should be doing. And I think they're just down. They're down in the dumps. It's difficult to bring them out. And Williams, on the other hand, wow, amazing. Good for Carlos, amazing. But yeah,
Absolutely. And before we end our past weekend, of course, a little bit of sad news coming from the paddock. It's that Lewis Hamilton's dog of 13 years soon, would be 13 next month, but 12 years, Roscoe, who he adopted when he joined Mercedes, sadly passed away from pneumonia. He was on life support for about 4 days before they had to make the decision. So that is genuinely a sad news for Lewis coming into this weekend. I think he's had a bit of time to process it, but you can't process it very quickly. It's a very sad
yeah.
thing. So all our thoughts are with him, genuinely. So, yeah, moving on to this weekend, we have our top three in quali for predictions. So, Alan, let's go one by one with third. Who do you have in your mind for third?
For third, I have Lando Norris.
You have Lando Norris. Why is that? Are you confident that he can make third on this track?
Uh, I don't know. I just feel like Norris belongs in PT. This is purely based on vibes. It's not data. It's nothing else. Just that. Yeah.
Right, very interesting. So, I have gone for a very, very, very weird choice. I have gone
Okay.
for Lewis Hamilton in third place. this is a track where he's
Hmm.
never qualified out of top five. And I know Ferrari is fantastic at breaking his streaks, the only records he's breaking this season. But I
Yep.
think he can put up a good quali here. He put up a good quali here last year, and I think his quali form is better slightly this year as compared to last year, even if we don't see the highs he did. But
Yep.
compared to Charles, he's within 2 tenths, and Charles is in his prime, and he's a quali god. So from that
Yep.
point of view, I'm thinking, yeah, Lewis can actually pull off a P3 here. I know it's insane, Delulu, but I think a Lewis Hamilton third position in quali is not something you can count out, honestly, if he gets everything right and Ferrari get
Fair.
everything right.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Fair.
What do you have for P2?
For P2, I have someone who should not belong in P2. It's Max Verstappen. Uh, well, I don't think the Red Bull is going to be good by any means. They only had, low downforce tracks. Uh, so again, I don't think these predictions are going to be correct, but I believe in Max, and that's all I need to say. So P2 Max.
Interesting. So I will talk about that a little bit later. But in P2, I have Oscar Piastri. I think Oscar Piastri will be
Hmm.
back this weekend. I think he is a level-headed driver, as you said, and I think he'll be able to make it work. Primarily because he has a cool head, and I think he's worked on his pace in quali a lot this year. So I think P2 is a good place. I think he can definitely qualify P2 in this track.
Yeah, sounds good, and that brings me to my P1, which is Oscar Piastri. I have always been an Oscar fan. Out of the two McLaren boys, I will always favor Oscar. I I always predict him for P1, and honestly, a lot of these times he's been doing the job. So I think yeah, he's gonna bounce back. He's gonna get P1. He's gonna show the world that last weekend was just a fluke. It was I wouldn't call it a fluke. I
It
think
was a
just a
chink in his
terrible mistake.
armor, but there are no more.
Yeah. I think he's gonna nail it.
I agree.
Uh, and just in general, I think because it's a slower track, I dearly wish that Fernando Alonso was in the mix. Uh, Maybe not top three, but we'll see.
Interesting, because I have Max Verstappen as P1 and I think he can make this. And people say he's horrible at this track. He is actually not horrible at this track. He scored P4 here in his Toro Rosso days. He was good in his Red Bull days prior to 2022. You never had a race in 2020, of course, at Singapore, or 2021 for that matter. So you can't take those years. The problem was before 2019, our dear Max Verstappen was not quite as clean as he was now. There was a very infamous incident with him and two Ferraris, and some other
Yep,
incidents have happened. So you cannot really see his true pace. And in his qualifying in 2022, he was 8 tenths upon Charles Leclerc before he had to come in because he was underfueled.
yeah,
The 2023 one, the car was just not there. The car was
yep,
just not made to run here. And I mean, there's only so much you can do. 2024, he got perilously close, but yeah, the RB20 was honestly not that great. The RB21 is a much better
it was
car
not.
on balance.
I mean,
So yeah,
but I
even
mean,
with that,
it's always about whether it's good for this track, and I think they
I
always
think
had the chink in the armor. I think it's a
yeah,
good car. It's better, but they're also notoriously not like Red Bull's not good on the curbs, right? I think that's another issue that they sort of have, and
they've
maybe
got
they have
some new
sorted out the
updates
downforce thing.
on the
Yeah,
floor, though, so that should fix stuff for them. Although McLaren are fantastically good at this kind of track, so that is what kind of worries me
exactly.
honestly.
I think last year we remember the gap that Norris had, so just
Yeah, Norris was just
insane gap
phenomenally on
on.
the, because the thing is, the in the technical aspect, because that is where I usually thrive. It's because that car is just so dynamic in its suspension setup. It's
Yep,
that it can not only, I don't know what magic they have done, honestly. Like there is some magic I can't understand. Not only can they ride the curbs well, which is the sign of a suspension that is very biased towards one end, they also have insane tire preservation, which is very interesting. I don't know what kind of a design that is, but
yep,
it's like
yep.
you're taking the entire pie. It's not like you're compromising something. They're compromising nothing in this case. That's the thing. So that's very interesting. But I still think, Max's car will be within a tenth and a half of McLaren. I think so. Especially when it's a wet weekend. So I think Max can pull this off. That's
Oh
my.
yeah, I forgot about the wet.
It
But
is wet. 90% on Friday, 95% on
yeah.
Saturday,
Oh no,
75% rain.
I've had those. I know those Singapore rains. It's
Yeah.
if it rains, it just keeps raining.
It's not like
I
some places here where it just rains for 10 minutes and just out. It's not like
Yeah,
the British
that's Bangalore
rains.
rains.
It
But
just rains for 5 minutes
I
and
mean,
done.
Mumbai rains kind of similar to that. I think the
Yeah,
weather is pretty similar.
it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
It would be fun if it
Uh,
rains. I would love to see a, but would we be able to see a wet night race? Would FIA allow it? Different question altogether.
that
But
is another
on to our
problem. That
race
is
at
genuinely
the
another
point.
problem.
So let's begin with our third place. For third place, I have Charles Leclerc. Why? Because I
Okay.
think Lewis Hamilton has been better at qualifying this year than he has in the races, which is a very interesting thing. Because
Yeah.
as you age, you become slower in quali, you become better in the race, which
Yeah.
was the case for him last year. But this year, it seems like he's better at quali and he's just not able to get the pace in the race. And
Yeah.
you can take any F1 race for you can take any race unless he's starting perilously low. His race pace is just not there. It's the gap is 2.5 tenths to Shal, but his quali gap is
Yeah.
1.5 tenths to Shal, which is very interesting to see. Like at this age, you should not expect that. You would expect, he's better in the race.
Yeah.
So I have Charles Leclerc at third. But given it's a wet race, it's kind of a. I am not sure because honestly, Charles Leclerc has been cheeks in the wet in the
Yeah.
ground effect era. He has not been the best. He has not been a great wet weather driver. We have seen him this year
Yeah.
itself. Who do you have a third, Alan?
So the problem is, I want to predict a really like I feel like it's going to be a crazy podium, but I can't put my finger on anybody because I think if it's wet, the the safety car pit stops are gonna really change things up. It's gonna be a matter of luck. Um, but I think for third, I'm going to go with Norris itself. I think he's gonna hold the fort. He's gonna be P3. It's a boring prediction, but I want it to be that way. I want the points gap uh, between Norris and Piastri to increase.
Yeah, I mean, I think that can be done. But coming on, I think what, he's prone to make mistakes if it's in the wet. That's just Norris, honestly. I mean, it might sound
That's true.
biased, but he's just not got that level-headedness. You see, either as a champion, you have to be extremely chill, like Oscar or Kimi were, or you have to
Yeah,
be so aggressive that there is no chill within you. You have to be either a complete ice cube, or you have to be as ruthless and as um angry as Max Verstappen is, or how old
yeah,
Lewis Hamilton used to be. He would just not care if you were there.
yeah.
If Felipe Massa, if you're watching this 2011, remember it once again, run it back. He was terrorizing people left, right, and center. So that is what you have to be. You can't be,
Oh,
I'm goody two
Lewis
shoes.
was a menace back in his days.
And I wish that returns, but I
He's
don't think
now
so.
the nice gentleman and whatever, but oh yeah, he was a menace.
You can't be a very nice gentleman and win a championship. He
No,
never did that in his
no, you
championship year, if
can't.
you see. He
I mean, we
was a
always
menace.
had that, right? Even we had Vettel become a really nice guy after he was done dominating.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's always
You
the
can't
case.
be a
Yeah,
nice guy and win. It just is not possible. You can be a very chill guy and win because you're shutting out everything, or you just terrorize everyone so much they're scared of you. Norris is kind of like the guy who everybody would ignore. That is just
yeah.
his
I
standing at
mean,
this point.
if he wasn't in a championship winning car, he would be ignored probably. But I mean, I'm not saying Norris has got the pace. He is a brilliantly fast driver, no one doubts it. Just yeah, it's about nailing every aspect of it, right? You can't just be fast. I think there's a lot more things to go to.
I
And
mean,
I'm not doubt
bring
like
yeah.
he could do things later in the future. Just
Maybe this is the
I
wake
think
up
he's
call.
got more. Maybe he's got more on the table.
Yeah, I
And
think he
I
needs
think
to
we've also
stay.
seen a shift in his mentality. Um, I think the answers he's been giving in the press and so on this time have been much better than how they have been earlier.
Exactly.
But still, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, we can
Go.
only wait
Yeah.
and watch.
Going on a second, I have an interesting driver for second place. I have Max Verstappen. is my
Oh,
second place driver.
okay.
And why is that? Is because as much as Max Verstappen is great at holding his own, I think Max Verstappen's race starts have, barring a few, his race
Yeah.
starts have not been great. And I think he folds. The only driver he's folded to under pressure this year is Oscar Piastri. Very
Yeah.
honestly. Miami, Oscar just kept hammering the laps down on him for laps on end. And at one point, Max just broke. And it's because Oscar is this guy who will consistently, be behind you, behind you, behind you. And he's pulled off some majestic
Yeah.
overtakes and very cleanly. You have his overtake
Yeah.
on Lewis Hamilton in Saudi Arabia. The same race where, by the way, Norris's race engine had to tell him that Lewis Hamilton is playing DRS chicken with you in a
Yeah.
Ferrari that is much slower than your car. So just comparing his teammate at that point. So you take that, and that's why I think Max Verstappen will have the pace, but he just won't be able to keep P1. Somewhere or the other, he will be jumped. Because right now it's much easier to play the overcut because they've
Yeah.
increased the pit lane speed limit to 80 kps, right? So that 400
Yeah.
meters, it cuts your pit loss by 6 seconds, which means the undercut is not as powerful as it used to be. It's much more
Mhm.
beneficial if you can overcut the competitor because they have to cover off less. When someone undercuts you, you have to now cover off 6 less seconds. So that's one thing. I think that is why he will finish second. What about you, Alan? Who do you have on your second
For
place?
me, I think my P2, and I see where we're going with predictions. P2 is Oscar Piastri. For me, I have a slightly different take. I think Oscar will also be mindful of the fact that now there's just 25 points between him and Norris. I believe it's 25, yeah. So the point is that he can't afford a DNF. I think if it is wet, especially if it's wet, he cannot afford to go crashing into someone, sliding off, or ending his and Max's race if they start at the front. Uh, and I think it's that risk averse. I think if he had 31 points of a gap, maybe it would have been different. But 25 means that if it's a DNF, Norris and him are level on points. And that starts becoming dangerous. He does not have a gap. He does not have a cushion. He's going to be P2. I think he's going to be decisive, but he might not go all out or completely aggressively, especially because it's raining against Max
There's safe
Verstappen.
game.
Max Verstappen has nothing to lose, I think, because it, he is not in the championship fight. He may be mathematically in it, but he's not there. So I think he's gonna gun for it, and he's gonna take the lead. And if it's wet, it's the driver, not the car. And yeah,
Yeah.
Piastri P2.
Absolutely. And my P1 is Oscar Piastri. I think he will take the lead and I think he'll move ahead in fantastic pace. He will get a win and he'll extend his lead. And that's who I think is going to win the race. Not going to be a Grand Slam weekend for anybody. As I said, Max Verstappen is going to be on pole, but Oscar Piastri is going to win the weekend. And I think if Oscar Piastri wants to win, the move has to be made either in lap one or in the pit stops. He can't make it on track.
Yeah,
Not with Max Verstappen on this track. I don't think he can do it with Max Verstappen on this track without coming together. It's just not possible. Like you try and overtake in Singapore, except the first lap. It is very, very
yeah.
tough to do. You just can't do it.
You can't. And that brings me to my P1, and it's Max Verstappen, obviously. I think Oscar's going to be measured, and Max is just going to zoom ahead. He's going to control the race in the wet. And again, I don't think he's going to go for the aggressive lap one overtake. And also, I mean, McLaren has been pretty on point with their pit stops over the last 2 years, maybe, but maybe the last one or two races, we've seen them drop the ball somehow. So again, I'm not very confident of them carrying out the overcut slash undercut slash anything in the pits. Uh, so yeah, I think Max is he's gonna take it. He's gonna get his first Grand Prix victory in Singapore and complete all the tracks.
Did you know that actually Singapore has got five different race winners across the last 5 years? So that's an interesting stat
Oh,
to think of. So last
yep,
five winners have been different. So you have got obviously Lando Norris. Carlos
Norris,
Sainz, Sergio
Sainz.
Perez. I'm forgetting. It's there's Lewis Hamilton one and Vettel. Yes. How can we forget Vettel's
Ah,
last win?
yeah, yeah.
So Lewis Hamilton 2018, Sebastian Vettel 2019, 2022 Perez, 2023 Sainz, 2024 Norris. So it's like it's written in the stars. It has to be Max Verstappen or
We're gonna
Oscar
have.
Piastri
I
for that
mean,
matter.
I wish that it's gonna be Piastri P1 and Norris P3, and the points gap increases. But yeah,
You can
it's
still
gotta
have
be Max.
Piastri P2 and Norris DNF. So points gap will increase regardless.
Ah, I mean, yeah, you never
That's
know.
hope.
You
That's
never
hopeful
know.
thought, but it could be. Come the end of the weekend, we'll look at it and we'll be like, okay,
Yeah, I
interesting.
feel like it might be crazy. I feel like we might have
We might have
Hadjar on the
nobody who we
podium or
talked about on the
something.
podium.
We might have Hadjar on the yeah, like we might have Gasly on the podium. I mean, not really, but
You'll have Colapinto actually because
maybe.
Colapinto
Yeah,
is doing better in the races than him. Honestly,
he is. He is actually. He's doing. He's at pace. He's on pace with Gasly, I think, and I think in quali and
in quali
he
and in
out
the race, he's
qualified.
been faster, but like the car's just not near the
Yeah,
point, so you can't see
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Honestly, and thankfully he's got money, so he can throw at Flavio.
Yeah, it's a tough job. Bad for doing, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, but
okay.
he is showing way better pace than Duhan, honestly. So moving
Yeah.
on to our next part, that is flop of the weekend. Who do you have in mind? Can be a team, can be a driver, can be anything, to be honest. Can be even a circumstance of the FIA.
I think you should go first.
Right. I have a very interesting person, a very
Yeah,
interesting team as flop of the weekend. I have
yeah.
Williams. I think Williams would be plumb last in this race. Their car
Mm,
has been prone to overheating, and this track will be the Achilles heel for their car. I feel so. I don't think their car can do a great job here, honestly. I mean, you saw how bad they were in. They were not great in Hungary at all. They were just not able to get good. And I think they will be plumb last. They'll be P19, P20. That's what I think. Maybe
yeah,
they'll do a great job in quali. They'll do P15, P14, P10 even, but I don't think they will be there at all. And it'll be a torrid weekend for the team that just got its first podium after first real podium since Lance Stroll. I mean,
yeah.
you count
Since
Spa as a
2017, I
podium, okay,
believe,
but since Lance Stroll
and it
in
was also in
Azerbaijan,
Baku.
yeah, in Baku,
Yeah, it was in Baku in
it was
2017.
in
I
Baku.
remember. Yeah, and I
So
think
that is nice.
Valtteri Bottas just pipped him on the line, and then it was for P3,
Yeah,
I believe. But yeah, my flop of the weekend, unfortunately, it's I feel like it's going to be Lewis Hamilton. I just feel he's not going to be dialed in. He's had Roscoe and so on, and just. But I mean, again, when he gets in the car, obviously, forget all of that. But I just feel like he's not gonna perform. I think it's just a gut feeling. It's about um, the feel of the car and luck and so on. And I think just Lewis isn't going to be on it. Uh, Maybe outside of the top. I think for Lewis, a flop is outside of the top. It used to be at least outside of the top five, but maybe just barely in the points. I feel like that's where
P10,
Lewis is going to be.
P9 is what we're looking at.
Yeah,
Can that be
P8.
considered a flop because he's been doing that for the past few weekends? So maybe out of the
Yeah,
points
actually
will be a
that's
flop.
true. But I mean, I maybe not out of the points, but I mean for someone of Lewis Hamilton's caliber, I would still keep saying that P8 is, it's a
It's
flop
a
for him.
flop.
I'm sorry.
It's a flop. But
Yeah,
for this year,
yeah.
P8 would be an
For
average.
for the amount of money that he's getting,
Yeah,
I mean, we had Max Verstappen win in a Ferrari before
Lewis
before
Hamilton.
Lewis.
Well, if you
So
think about it that way, I think Lewis Hamilton won in a Ferrari in 2007. So early 2000s.
yeah, well, of course, yeah,
Yeah, so we can talk about that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think, forgetting even the fact we have to all remember the fact that he's a human. And some people, I see people on Twitter, writing, he'll take revenge, he will win. Be like, no, that's not how a human mindset works. It's not a girlfriend who's left him. He's not got someone to prove wrong. He's
yeah,
he's lost a very, very dear person to him. And I don't want to bring up a Twitter feud here, but there's this guy. I will not put up his name because that would be docs. But apparently, this person, I saw this tweet on Twitter, sorry, X, and this person was writing that, real racers don't miss testing sessions, forget the dog, what is it? And this is before we got to know about
Mm.
Roscoe. So
Yeah.
you've got to talk, end of the day, you've got to remember that the guy's a human, okay? And he will have that thing bearing down on him and it will affect his performance. So, and I will just add into his lack of feel with the car. So combining both, yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I think you're on the money for this. I think he will have a flop weekend.
I
But
think Lewis
yeah.
also I mean, I think when drivers they get into the car, they want to maximize it. So obviously, I don't think Roscoe's in his head while he's doing a hot lap. But yeah, like just in general, for example, the reporters asked Carlos Sainz after the race how he felt that he got a podium before Lewis got a podium, and Carlos he was like, yeah, listen, I'm here to drive. If I'm on for a podium and I get a podium, I will take a podium. I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna get a podium because I'm gonna show Lewis. No, like that's not how it works. So I think people have got to stop reading into this whole thing, into narratives, into all this gossip stuff they like. A driver's gonna, he gets in the car, he tries to do his job. Lewis, I think it's going to be a feel thing, and whatever. He might just be rusty, but I don't think Lewis is going to be sitting in the car and suddenly start weeping when he thinks about Roscoe. That's not how drivers work. That's not how any of these work. These are elite athletes. So yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, coming on to a very interesting part of the weekend and one that we'll have a quick look at is Max Verstappen, fifth title. What do you think?
No. Mathematically, yes, but just not going to happen. You need. I see. If it was just Max um, doing his thing, I completely think if he has got the car, he can win every single race and sprint. Yes. The problem is, even despite that, we need Piastri to be third or below. Sometimes, he cannot, even if Piastri is second in every race, we're kind of screwed. If McLaren start giving team orders, we start prioritizing Piastri, it's game over. So Verstappen also, he is just chill. He's gonna do the best job he can. He's gonna gun for it. Uh, and he is not thinking about the title. He's just thinking about winning every race possible. But mathematically, yes. Realistically, no, unless Piastri keeps messing up and McLaren keep dropping the ball. Car stops, Yuki crashes into Piastri, maybe, whatever.
This is a very interesting track for crashes on purpose, so you don't
That,
know.
well, Yuki has his contract up for renewal, so,
Sometimes
you
you
know,
need a little bit of an extra job.
yeah,
As
we
you
just
know,
need a little
maybe if
push,
not
a little,
points, if not points, something. Not
no, but
pointing anything
as
out.
goated as he is,
Yeah.
as goated as Verstappen is, just it's hard unless others drop the
He'll
ball.
need a
If it
miracle.
was
He'll
not a
need an
scenario where
oracle
others drop the ball,
inside
he would
there.
do it.